Are you ready for chapter 12? I know I am. Chapter 12 of Black Beauty. James leaves Birtwick Park. All right, can you say Birtwick Park? Birtwick Park, Birtwick Park, Birtwick Park, Birtwick. Nope, can't do it 5 times. This is a kind coachman making us comfortable. I don't know why he's making them comfortable or where they are. Let's find out. After the fire, the rest of our journey was very easy. Just before sunset, we reached our destination and were taken into a clean, snug stable. There was a kind coachman who made us very comfortable and who seemed to think a great deal of James when he heard about the fire. "There is one thing that is quite clear, young man," he said. "Your horses knew whom they could trust. It is one of the hardest things in the world to get horses out of a stable when there's a flood or a fire." We all stayed at this place for 3 days and then returned home. All went well on this journey, and we were glad to be in our own stable again. John was overjoyed to see us all safe and sound. Before John and James left us for the night, they discussed a young boy named Joe Green. Joe Green was to take James' place when he left Birtwick Park. We heard John say that although Joe was only 14 years old, he was very bright and willing to learn. The next day, we got our first look at Joe Green. He came to the stables to learn all he could before James left. He learned how to sweep the stable and how to bring in the straw and hay. He was too short to groom either Ginger or me, so James taught him on Merrylegs. Merrylegs did not like this at all and complained about being groomed by a child who knew nothing. By the end, here. This is their illustration of Joe Green. Joe Green? Hold on. Is it Joe Green? Yes. Joe Green, who is supposed to be 14. He looks about 8. But, okay. The reason I looked to make sure it was Joe Green is because the Green Bay Packers had a player named Mean Joe Green. So I guess there's more than one in the world. Back to our story. Okay. They taught Joe Green how to groom on Merrylegs. By the end of the second week, he confessed that Joe Green was learning well and would turn out all right. That's Merrylegs. I guess he accepted Joe Green. At last the day came when James had to leave us. He looked quite unhappy, although he did his best to try and cover it up. We heard him tell John that he would miss his friends and his family, as well as the horses he had come to love so much. But John cheered him up. John cheered him up by explaining that he would be sure to make friends in his new home and that his new job would make his family very proud of him. Everyone was very sorry to lose James. Merrylegs moped about for several days and even stopped eating. John took him out in the morning and let him trot and gallop in the fields until his disposition improved. That means he got in a better mood. Still, it was hard to think that we would never see our friend James again. He was a good man who treated us with special kindness. You can tell by this illustration that James is probably excited in his heart, but his face says, "I don't want to leave my friends." I totally get that. All right, let's just go ahead and do chapter 13, Going for the Doctor. Run as fast as you can. Can you guess who needs a doctor? I'm going to guess it's the master. And I don't know. What's his problem? Fell off a horse? I don't know. Going for the Doctor, chapter 13. One night after James had left, I was lying down in the straw, fast asleep, when I was suddenly awakened by a loud bell. I heard the door of John's house open as he ran up the hall. He was back in a few minutes. He unlocked the stable door and cried, "Wake up, Beauty! You will have to run as fast as you can." Before I knew what was happening, he had the saddle on my back and the bridle on my head. He threw on his coat and took me to the hall door. The butler was standing there with a lamp in his hand. "Now, John," he said, "ride as fast as you can. Our mistress' life depends on it." I guess it wasn't the master, it's the mistress. There is not a moment to lose. Give this note to Dr. White and be sure to rest the horse at the inn. Return as soon as you can. When we reached the road, John said softly, Black Beauty, do your best. We must try to save our mistress' life. After I heard this, I did not need the whip or the spur. I galloped as fast as I could for 2 miles. When we came to the bridge, John pulled me up a little and patted my neck. Well done, Beauty, he said. He would have let me go slower, but my spirit was up, and I was off again as fast as before. It was 3 a.m. as we arrived at Dr. White's house. John rang the bell twice and then pounded on the door. Finally, Dr. White threw open the window and asked John what he wanted. After John explained that our mistress was very ill and needed him immediately, he told us to wait there until he came down. In a few minutes, the doctor was at the door, and John handed him the note. Dr. White then explained that his own horse was ill and asked if he could ride back with me. John knew I was overheated and tired, but he realized how important it was for the doctor to reach our mistress. I will not describe the ride back home. The doctor was an elderly man and not a very good rider, but I did my best, and we soon reached Birtwick Park. Joe was waiting for us at the gate. My master led the doctor into the house, and Joe walked me to the stable. I was glad to be home. My legs were shaking, and I could only stand and pant. I was soaking wet, and my whole body was steaming. Joe rubbed my legs and chest, but he did not put my warm cloth on me. He thought I was too hot and would not like it. He gave me some cold water and some hay and corn. He thought he had done all the right things, and he closed the stable door as he left me for the night. Soon I began to shake and tremble. I got very cold. My legs and chest ached, and I felt sore all over. Oh, how I wished I had my warm blanket. I wished John was at my side, but he was still walking home from the doctor's house, so I lay down in the straw and tried to sleep. After a long while, I heard John at the door. I gave a low moan, for I was in great pain. He was at my side in a moment. I could not tell him how I felt, but he seemed to know anyway. He covered me up with 2 or 3 warm blankets and then ran to the house for some hot water. I heard him complain under his breath about Joe Green. He called him a stupid boy for not covering me and giving me something warm to eat and drink. I was very ill. That's actually what's happened to Black Beauty is a very dangerous thing to happen to a horse. Horses are complicated. I was very ill. A strong inflammation had attacked my lungs, and I could not breathe without pain. John nursed me day and night. My master came to see me many times. My poor Beauty, he said one day, you saved our mistress' life, and now you are the one who is so sick. It made me feel proud that I had saved her life, and I heard John say that he had never seen a horse run so fast in his whole life. After what seemed like a long time, I began to feel better. The horse doctor came to see me several times, and his medicine helped the fever and inflammation go away. John was very angry at Joe Green for quite a while, but he finally came to see that the boy hadn't meant me any harm. He had simply not known any better. There's the horse doctor seeing to Black Beauty. I'm glad there's such a thing as a horse doctor. All right, so that was the end of chapter 13. If you would like to continue, you're going to have to start another video. Good luck.